disabled at the moment in terms of my capability to share. Okay, fantastic. Right, here we are. Okay, thank you so much for having me today. So basically, a lot has changed with retail over the last few months, and you know, a lot of the world has moved online. However, we think there's a bright future for retail, and so for my talk, I'm going to cover some of the global trends in food retail, looking at what is happening with some of the more progressive examples in food retail at the moment, and also to provide you with some direction and things that we are working on that we think are really in that area of guiding the future, and hopefully you'll see some great insights, not just about what's happening now, but what we are due to be launching in the next year or two. So just a quick introduction to myself. I'm Nathan Watts, Creative Director of Interstore. I have over 20 years working with brand and retail design agencies. So yeah, I have 20 years working with brand and retail design agencies. For the last 5 years, I was a creative director at Fitch, developing world-class experience for brands and retailers across the world, people like Walmart, Centrepoint in Dubai. Now I'm creative director of Interstore, based in London, and I hope to bring my wealth of experience to create innovative solutions for food retailers. So just a little bit about Interstore and Schweitzer. We are a global supplier and shop fit company. We have our headquarters in Italy. We have a turnover $250 million, around about 1,000 employees, with a large facility for production and a global logistics supply chain. So it enables us to work with retailers all over the world. In terms of Interstore, within the group, our area of expertise is within fixture design, store design, layout development, graphic design, visual marketing, art direction, and consulting. We look at the entire holistic creative solution and work alongside Schweitzer, who are our realization experts, project managing, prototyping, development, manufacturing, developing a lot of, with our heritage in cooling, the refrigeration, lighting, and fitting. So just to give you a broad idea, we are really quite a unique design and build approach that we have, from concept design through to design and implementation, all from one source. And we work closely to develop, you know, develop the entire vision for the retail experience. And I would say that, let me just make sure I'm sharing this. Just want to make sure that I have my screen shared before we carry on. Okay. So, just to give you a bit more background, we have a lot of experience in the Middle East region. We have recently completed a store for Spinneys. We're currently working for Waitrose, developing Waitrose stores. We have previous experience with Armani, H&M, Fresh Food Market and Metro Market in Egypt, and then Carrefour also in Morocco. We have a lot of different food retailers we've worked with across the world, from Globus to Le Bon Marché, Extra Corp, Sobeys in Canada. So many retailers from around the world that we are working with. And beyond that, beyond the food experience, we're also working with non-food retailers and more broadly with retailers in general. Many brands from Nespresso to Leclerc and Swatch and Timberland. So now I'm going to just take you through some examples that we believe are, as I said, really kind of some of the more progressive examples from different regions in the world. And I think that here you'll start to see what we believe are some really interesting, remarkable experiences that point to the direction of future retail. The first one is Tegut Teo, which is a Swiss-owned German grocery retailer. And they are this store is actually based in central Germany. Now, what we think is really interesting here is this idea that, you know, retailers become very automated. We're seeing many more examples of retailers opening manless stores with the rise of automation. We're seeing a lot of retailers trying this type of thing around the world. And we want to really, you know, think about how can we help, you know, move beyond what is really a very kind of robotic, unhuman feeling that you have with these unmanned stores. What this store has done really successfully is actually think about how to create a more humanized version of that experience. And what they have done really well is to create a space which is really integrated into the architect, into the location, into the local architecture, really kind of thinking about how to integrate a robotic, manless experience into its environment. They use a lot of interesting techniques for building this space, including quite personalized ways of actually integrating the space and the experience so it feels like it's part of the community and really engaging with people in a way that is truly more human. And I think when we look inside the space, there are some really fantastic technologies that we see with all of these type of experiences, but they've also created things like a cooling room that you can walk into where actually they keep all of the cool products in one location just to create a nice ambience for the environment and really make that feel like somewhere you would want to spend time in. So I think they've really thought hard about how to make these kind of spaces a bit more humanized and really embedded in the community. The next example is one from France, which is a company called Biltoki. They have created a fantastic new concept, which is really an organization, and they are bringing back to life the old market halls of French towns and cities. Now, they have really gone a step further to really help provide something that is really really kind of supporting this reinvigoration of local food culture, using the old food halls from various cities and towns across France, and trying to reinvigorate localized food culture. And so what they've done here is really think about how to, you know, engage with the local community all around food, and to bring this kind of food story and celebrate it in the town center. How have they done this? They've really kind of become the curator of various local traders and specialists who are bringing different offers, fresh produce and catering into the hall. So that you have a fully integrated area for buying, consuming, and it's really done in a way that just feels very pleasant. And what it's done is it's really built this new culture within the center of the towns across France. They have 4 locations now, I think, or 5, with 4 more planned within the next year. And really, I think that this is an amazing example of how to build spaces that really celebrate the full story of food, and to really bring people together around not just buying food, but experience it all within one place. So the third example I wanted to share was M&S from the UK. I'm sure many of you will know of M&S in the UK. They have over 600 stores across the country. They have started late last year rolling out a new concept, which is really taking the convenience format and really trying to take it to the next step. And really, you know, if you look at the current or the more recent stores from M&S, they've become quite really like premium warehouses of kind of packaged food. And I think they realized that they had to try to break away and do something that brings more of the theater of food back into the stores. And so what they've done very well is to really create, more enlarged fresh areas, enhanced bakery. They're bringing a lot more of the product out of the packaging so that you have a more tactile sensory experience with the food. And I think the other noticeable thing here is the added kind of dramatic ambience that we get within this environment. And I think they've taken a lot of cues from fashion retailers, from some of those other non-food retailers that are really creating that theatrical drama. And they're using visual merchandising in a strong way and creating an ambience that really makes you want to spend more time in the store to really, create an ambience that is, just a bit more interesting and delightful for the customer. So it's a genuine attempt at improving the in-store theatre for retail. So a really interesting example, and not the only one. There are many retailers doing this now, I think, and it proves to be a kind of a macro trend that we see around the world. Even in the frozen aisle. I mean, who would say that you could even think about creating drama in the frozen aisle? So quite an interesting one. So now I'm just going to take you through really a project example from Interstore, a project we're currently working on, and one that we think is really representing an interesting direction for the future. And I think for all retailers, there are some interesting clues in here about where to think about taking retail in the future. So I think just as a starting point, a little bit of back history. If we think about the supermarket, really, we can think about a place which is all about bringing together, a mix of different types of food, branded goods, private label more recently, but it's all about really a place to buy and sell goods. But I think what we've seen, in the last few years is a bit more of a move towards adding more to the supermarket, providing more brand experiences or more services, just to create more of a footfall, more of a mix, which tends to kind of then create more or solve more solutions for the customer. And as we can see in even more recent times, this is becoming more and more complex and more sophisticated, with more and more partnerships being established to really start to create a place where the retailer can really do something very unique within their four walls. Now, this store that we're working on is a store in Eastern Europe. This is a really interesting, new, groundbreaking store that we're developing with them. And it's really about bringing together a mix of different offers and services around the core supermarket offer. They have this location is built on an old industrial plot. It has 30,000 square meters. There's around 8,000 meters of integrated retail and gastronomy. There are 4 full-service restaurants, 14 in total places to eat and drink. And as well as that, there's 3,000 meters of production. Now, this means that the retailer is actually creating products to sell in the store, but also to sell in other people's stores and to restaurants. So this is really representing a really interesting ecosystem, the whole ecosystem of food within one space. So here you can see a little bit of a diagram of the site overview. This gives you a bit of a flavor for what this space is. So the context is it's just outside of the city center. It's a new development in an area which will see a lot of redevelopment coming in the next few years. There's a marina and a yacht club that'll be established next door on the river. Beside that, there's a forest where we want to really, help the local development to build that nature space out as a connecting part of this new destination. There is even an old train line that we're hoping to re-establish so that we can create kind of pop-ups and food experiences within the train line, bringing people in, but also hosting events on the train itself. Obviously, we want to connect via a bridge from this river and the forest into our location. And then within our actual location plot, we have then basically routing for logistics to enable products to come and leave the site. And within this, we also have terraces and places for urban events around the outside of the main buildings. So this just gives you a flavor for how this will start to come to life. It's an old factory unit that will have a completely new renovation done to create a whole modern contemporary architecture built on an old industrial unit. So looking more into the territory itself, there will be a fantastic outdoor space, which will be completely landscaped to create kind of event spaces that will be seasonal, open throughout the day, but also into the evening. There'll be kids' playgrounds. There is a whole kind of edging of forestry, which will help to create a pollution-free zone to really help create a thriving environment that's separated from the traffic. And there'll be on-site production of bakery happening within the coffee area and with some restaurants surrounding those. And the main building itself will have this incredible treed or this mezzanine area with a wild landscaped area, which will also provide a space for events and bringing daylight and greenery into the space itself. And of course, this location, like many retail environments now, will also have pickup stations and the ability to fulfill people in different needs. And when we get into the space itself, or the main building, you can see the integration. I've not called out the supermarket because the supermarket is basically everywhere within here, but I'm calling out really the catering and the culinary areas of expertise where people can sit down and enjoy a meal. You know, this is a space that is not necessarily a premium environment. This is a mass to premium area that'll have a range of different restaurants and food experiences. We have a pizza restaurant, international food restaurant, a healthy food restaurant, a general family restaurant, and then a fine dining space. And then some of the smaller catering areas that are much more integrated into the food service departments. You'll have a coffee bar, a tea bar, a vegan kitchen, a noodle bar, and a sushi bar. And then when we look at the other aspects of the space, we have 2 floors. So we've enabled ourselves to grow or develop kind of additional services around the mezzanine areas, including a culinary academy, where we will have some of the local producers actually hosting some of the customers to kind of really get involved in the food. There'll be places for co-working and kindergarten to help people to explore and leaving their children if they would like to do that, or while they're working. There'll be a place for a gym and offices and a space for conferences. And then, as I said, a garden event space so that you can actually be within the trees inside the building, and the ability for different events to be hosted within that space. So as I said, this is really, you know, quite a kind of a dynamic, interesting revolution really in terms of building a destination built around food. And I think that this is, you know, presenting this idea of a full cycle of food to the customer. But I think one of the key things about this, and this is I suppose the catch, or one of the reasons that it's difficult for retailers to achieve this type of thing. How does a retailer enable a space that can actually really become like an evolving stage? And I think that one of the challenges is obviously with food services being complex in terms of enabling that to happen. We need to think about how do we create a space that enables the customer to actually experience something new every time they visit. And this is really getting to the point about providing a flexible platform. How do supermarkets become more flexible so that they can evolve and keep changing the offer within? So I'm just going to take you quickly to a video, which is our experience that we brought to life at Euroshop this year. I know many of you in your region did not manage to come to visit us at Euroshop this year. So I'm just going to play a quick video to help you to get a bit of a feel for what we brought to life there. So you may have had a bit of a flavor for that, but I'm just going to dive a little bit more into what we actually presented, because there was a lot of innovation brought together as solutions for retailers that we really believe is going to support a lot of the future of how grocers can provide these more flexible, evolving stages for retail. What you see here is effectively a flexible food service solution. And we have really created something that enables all the services, the water, the plumbing, the electricity, all the things that I suppose traditionally make quite a rigid platform for retailers to be able to evolve and change their spaces. All of these services are now coming from the roof, and we provided this kind of technique wrapped up in this solution to showcase what the possibilities are for retailers to be able to change their environments more quickly. What you see here in this image is a collection of different elements that are all connected from the ceiling. Everything is mobile and on wheels, which means that this whole location, this whole experience can be moved overnight from one place to the other, to allow for much more flexibility for traders and for different operators to come in, create new experiences, and to basically ensure that the customer is getting that freshness of something new in a way that's easy for the retailer to manage and operate, and keeping the costs down. This is another example of another area which we call the bistro, which again is just showcasing how that same technology can enable this kind of food service, HRM kind of experience to be brought to life. And again, easy and quick to change and shift the different food operators in that space, but also enable the food operators to even change the products throughout the time of day or week. And I think this is also a key thing about that level of flexibility that we believe is key to keeping things fresh for the customer. And I think, you know, at the core of it really is about, you know, bringing that experience to life through people and through service. And we think that, you know, by bringing food services into the heart of the experience, we're providing much more of that human contact with the customer to really, you know, create spaces that are really, I suppose, augmented from digital, and really providing those more human interactions that we think are really going to define the future of retail. So in summary, I believe that the future is really about two things. It's remaining relevant, which is all about being the curator, thinking of retailing as being the curator of an evolving show, and then creating standout, which is all about making sure that we do it with personality and drama. So thinking about how we can really do it in a unique way that's different from others, and creating something that is really going to become places that people want to spend time. So I hope that's been an insightful session. If anyone has any more further questions about what I've discussed, please drop me a line. Otherwise, contact us through the portal. So thank you very much for your time today.
Great. Nathan, thank you very much indeed for that. Very kind indeed. Our thanks to Nathan for joining us live.